Hello and welcome to Around the Hoop, the Westwood basketball show. I'm your host, Mike Gay, and again, we will be joined by Coach St. Martin and Coach Clifford. Welcome.
It's good to see you, Mike.
Thanks.
This is the post-Super Bowl championship episode that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
I brought the socks, so I got the socks working here.
There you go.
Not the jersey, but I'm slowly weaning myself off of Patriots talk. So we missed last week, and you've had 3 games apiece since our last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Cliff, let's start with you. Walk everybody through those last few games.
Yeah, sure. I think it's been 4 because we played the night of the show. We are 1-3 in that stretch with results, which results-wise is obviously not what we want. We're currently without Elizabeth Gill, who's our leading scorer with a concussion, so that's been tough. But the girls are still working hard. I think the attitude's been good. I don't think our record reflects, what we've shown on the floor in those games. We're also in a really tough part of our schedule, which is a just bad coincidence. But we went out to Ashland and got a win, which was really good. They've come on strong. They're having a great second half of their season. Then we lost to Medfield in a close game and played well for probably 28 minutes and then just kind of couldn't finish the job. But Medfield's really strong too. They'll be a tournament team and they'll do really well in Division II Central. We lost to Hopkinton at home. That was kind of the disappointing one. I feel like we didn't really show up like we usually do. So that was a tough one to swallow a little bit. But bounced back, went to Millis on Tuesday, who's undefeated. They'll be TVL small champs and they'll make a run in Division III Central like they always do. They're so well coached and they're even more talented this year than usual. So we went in there and it's kind of same as Medfield. Played really well. We were with them for probably 28 of 32 minutes, and then they just made more plays down the stretch. So obviously that's something we need to address because soon enough it'll be the state tournament, and you can't afford those stretches or your season's over. So we still have some work to do, but we haven't been playing terribly. We just aren't getting the results we need. So hopefully we can get back in the win column soon and start trending in the other direction. Yeah,
and so we've talked about the injury bug. Coach St. Martin, you've certainly had your share of injuries.
Right.
A big blow with Elizabeth Gill being out. Talk about how other players, even with a tough stretch as far as the win-loss column goes, talk about other girls stepping up and the benefits you can gain as a coach when Elizabeth comes back.
Yeah, so that's the goal, that we're even better, when she comes back. It's been everybody. You think her position, Riley Murray's a senior captain. She stepped into the starting lineup. Sarah Roycroft's still starting, playing even more minutes and with more of a role. Hattie Noble's been giving us some good contributions off the bench. Almost had a double-double in the Hopkinton game. Is doing a great job rebounding and is really kind of finding her game as the season goes on. But it goes to the guards because Elizabeth, draws so much attention from the defense. That opens things up for the guards. That's not happening anymore. So everyone's been asked to do a little bit more. Caitlin Curtin is, Miss Versatility lately. She's been down playing the forward, a little out of position, which, she liked at first, but now that it's a very real thing and she's defending some of the best post players in the league, I think it's a little less fun, but she's been selfless and has stepped up. And again, the girls have been great. The attitude's been good. They know we're still a good team. We just can't, cash in on the wins right now, but hopefully we'll turn that around.
Sounds good. Coach St. Martin, walk us through those 4 games.
We were able to get victories in each of the games. I mean, we were missing folks, so that was difficult. But like you said, people have to step up, and we were able to do so and get some wins through each of them. Medfield was really close. That was a really close game. And then we went into Hopkinton, and Hopkinton was, that was basically, there were 2 games behind us in the TVL standing. So being able to get that win was huge. And then beating Millis allowed us to have at least a share of the TVL title if we were to lose these last 3 games. So if we were able to win tonight, it kind of puts you in the first thing. But we talked about earlier, that's one of the goals that folks came up with was, can we win the TVL title? So it goes back though what Coach was talking about, and we said before, the #1 goal obviously is to always be your best. And that can lead you to do other things that are helpful, especially as we're approaching the tournament. You want to hit your stride now. This is where you want to start to hit your stride really well. And we've been fortunate enough to get people back. We have 1 guy sick now still, but we're able to get some folks back, and that's been helpful now. We're trying to find a rotation and figure out people. But one of the things that is an advantage, if you can do this, is you start to figure out, when I do have a full team, what roles now are opening for people. It's almost like an audition, like, you know, like you're asked to do more. Can you assume that? And if not, you know, somebody else will pick some pieces up. But it gives players the chance to show what they can do in a more expanded role. And for some, that's a good thing, and for others, it's not. It just depends. But it's a chance for you to contribute and be a part of. I mean, it's what people were saying about the Celtics when they had the 2 injuries last year and guys stepped up into roles, and so the expectations became so much bigger for them this year, and they are struggling to try to figure that part out. But it takes time. But when you have health coming back to you, it's always a good thing.
Absolutely. So, Coach Clifford, everybody at home is probably wondering about the change in color scheme. Pink sneakers, you got the pink night. So fill us in on the reason behind that.
Yeah, we do a league-wide Pink Week on the girls' side. So all the the teams have the same T-shirts we warm up in. So we were over in Millis on Tuesday. Huge game for both teams, and it was nice to just kind of watch warm-ups, and the kids are all wearing the same shirt, kind of for the same cause. In our program, we sell these wristbands at our game, and we do a wall of hope to kind of either in memory of or in honor of people who have lost battles with cancer or have beat it or are struggling with it right now. So it's a fun thing for the girls. It really brings them together. They enjoy it. It's turned into a nice tradition for us. So our home game is tonight, so we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. So Cliff, why don't you take us through the road ahead?
Yeah, so we have Medway, who's doing really well on the small side. They're a really good team. They've knocked off. They have some great wins, so they'll be really tough. Then next week we host Norwood. We actually have a doubleheader on Tuesday night, which will be fun. Who again, they're still going. They beat us earlier in the season, and they're still looking good. And we're 100% focused on Medway right now just because of where we are. We need to take things one game at a time, but we know that's a big one. We're excited to hopefully try to get them back a little bit. And then we go to Holliston for our league finale, and they're doing well too. They're much better than their record. They knocked off Hopkinton, who beat us, and you don't want to play that transitive property game too much, but there's no off nights for sure. And then next week we can talk about the Riley Classic, but our field in that is pretty stacked. So it's a great schedule in terms of us getting ready for the state tournament, and that's the thing of how good can we get by the end of the regular season to hopefully make a postseason run. But yeah, it's not going to be easy, but I hope we're ready for the challenge.
So with effectively 3 games in regular season plus the Riley Classic remaining, obviously you want to get healthy. That's going to be really important. What other things are you working on as a team in these games, win or lose, to prepare yourself for the tournament?
Is everything too broad of an answer? I think the lapses we've had in games have just been that. They've been lapses. We're a pretty good rebounding team, but if you're going to in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter decide not to box out on a possession, well, there's 2 points, and all of a sudden at Millis that 1 possession game turns to a 2 possession game. Our transition defense is pretty good, but they got like a backbreaking layup on us, and all of a sudden it's a 3 possession game. And little things like that. We're just trying to clean things up and be more consistent. Offensively, I think that was the biggest place where not having Elizabeth has hurt us a little bit, and just trying to figure out who we are and who's ready to step up, and the roles are evolving like Coach said and all that. So I don't really have a great answer. It's a little bit of everything, but it's just trying to just make sure you're ready, win or lose like you said. And there's a lot of good tests. We'll certainly be battle tested no matter what our seeding is, what our record is. We're not worried about that right now. We're just trying to take things one day at a time.
Yeah, no, that sounds a great answer, by the way. Coach, what do you see ahead for your team? And same question, you can weave in an answer around how do you prep for the tournament?
So first of all, the road ahead. I mean, we have Medway tonight, and Medway, Bellingham, and Dover Sherburne are in a 3-way battle for the title in the small side. So it's going to be a heavy competition going forward. And then we have the doubleheader with Norwood. We're at 5. The girls are at 6:30 at Beta Gym, and then we finish with Holliston, which is our senior night, and then we get into the Riley Classic. Preparing for the tournament. I mean, every day you're doing that. Every day is a preparation for that moment. And Coach kind of alluded to it. We schedule our non-league games are really hard too. One of the things that I noticed years ago when we first started qualifying consistently for the tournament, we were just unprepared for the amount of talent or size or speed that you're going to see consistently. So what we decided to do was schedule a really tough non-league schedule, including some D1 teams that are, supply those types of things, some to the extreme. That has helped kind of prepare us a little bit better, I feel. But every day you're doing things and you're making adjustments. So like certain offensive sets that we've made adjustments as time goes on depending on how people are playing against that. And then certain defensive presses that we've been running, we've made some adjustments based upon how people have been breaking them. So it's a lot of little tiny nuances that you're doing because everybody's scouting everybody, and you're seeing film more and more now with things being on the internet. It's so much easier to get access to things where years ago, you didn't have that type of access. And so it's, everybody's scouting things, so they know who your players are and what sets you're running and all that stuff. And which is normal. So you have to make these little adjustments. So every day we're doing that. And one of the things that we really ramp up as the season keeps continuing is we start doing game situations. We practice them all the time, and we really ramp it up as the last month and a half or so come in there, because now you're trying to figure out like how, what happens when there's 30 seconds left. What are the plays that we feel most comfortable with? So we're making sure that we're not going to be caught in a situation where you're trying to figure out what to run or who to run it for. We're trying to narrow all that stuff down in practice and be more comfortable with things. So you put in end of the game spots or out of bounds plays or different things that you have to run that you're comfortable with. And certain things during the week of February break will add a couple of more wrinkles into stuff that people haven't seen. And if we have to use those, we will as well.
That's great. So I believe that you have a couple of your players, spotlight/players of the week that you're gonna bring in. On the girls' side, they're getting ready for the Pink Week game.
Yep.
So we'll have them
here
in
next
week's session. So talk about the players that we're going to meet.
Sure. Two players. One is sophomore Connor Danieli, and then it's junior Favor Wariboko, and both have been instrumental in stepping into roles. Favor, we've played him a multitude of minutes. I mean, there was a couple of games we didn't even take him out the entire game, just with injuries and how well he's been playing. And for him, I'm always asking him, you need a break, and he's always, no, I'm fine, coach. So, and he's such very instrumental on what we do as far as our press goes, and he's kind of like the anchor of how we rotate and trap well. And then Connor stepped into more playing time. We had John Ing was hurt, and then Shea McCusker, who stepped into John's role and played very well, was also hurt. And so Connor had to step in and play and did a fantastic job, especially at Hopkinton in a great environment. Their crowd was loaded. It was a match for who was going to be a step ahead in the TVL. So he really stepped in to play a great game, and then followed up with a couple of other great games. So both of those guys are here today to
That's great.
Honor them for what they've been doing.
No, so we'll look forward to meeting them. And again, one thing that isn't lost is that both of you have punched your ticket to the state tournament.
Right.
You're dealing with the injury bug. It's stinging a little bit more, but complete confidence in the girls that are playing, the girls that are coming back. Definitely looking for some wins down the stretch and a strong tournament. And Coach, on your side, again, you've been able to weather the bug and get some wins, but you're learning, and both of your teams are really having players step up, which can only pay dividends. I remember last year in the Tech Boston game where, speaking of Favor, I thought he was the best player on the court for Westwood. He was able to transcend his game, and so even in losses, you can kind of gain some things and then propel it into the future. So
very true.
Again, good luck tonight. Good luck next week in the doubleheader against Norwood, and then your season finale or your TVL finale next Friday. So we'll see you. We'll see you next Friday.
Absolutely.
There you go. Joining us in studio are Favor Wariboko and Connor Danieli, a junior and a sophomore. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So Favor, you're getting an old hat here. This is your second time on Around the Hoop. And Connor, this is a first. Yeah. So welcome to the set.
Thank you.
As Coach just mentioned, you've been able to weather the injury storm, and it has been a storm. You've had some big wins, continue to build towards a high seed in the MIAA state tournament. So Favor, walk us through the last 4 games.
They started out rough. I mean, our Ashland game, that game, we didn't play up to par as we should have because we were missing John Ing and James McGowan, so I guess it kind of affected us. But we kind of played not as good as we should have, considering we beat them by a lot the last time. But we still pushed through and won it. And then for the Medfield game, that one was rougher because we were missing a lot of guys due to injuries and other stuff. And we missed like 4 of our starters too, but we still had to push through that one. And then the other games, Millis, that was a blowout. We really needed that game for us. Yep. And then the last game, what was it? Hopkinton, yeah, that was a good game for us too, considering we basically like clinched our TBL championship for us.
At least a tie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So Connor, a sophomore, contributing throughout the course of the season, but then elevating that productivity and your contributions to the team through injuries. Talk about this last stretch and how your particular game has elevated.
Well, I got a lot of experience throughout this year. Like the game of the year was like the last man off the bench pretty much. And once John Ing and Shea McCusker got hurt, I had to step up and play like very important minutes in games, and it's just helped me get more experience in big games to help us win.
Talk about the speed of the game. So as a sophomore, probably excited to make the team, make varsity, and then again, regardless of where you are on the bench, maybe limited minutes. Talk about the speed of practice and then the speed of the games when you were in it.
Definitely a different type of speed, way faster than any type of level I've ever played at before. Practices is a grind. But it helps us prepare for the games, because I remember my first game, after I got through my injury, I went in for 2 minutes and was panting and like almost basically died. I was so exhausted, but now I can play a good amount of the game and still feel like I can still play.
That's great. Mostly playing the 4, the 5 at times, filling one of those big roles. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk to you, Favor. So again, as a junior, you're looked upon for leadership, especially with a lot of the injuries and players down. Talk about the team and how the team has come together over this stretch, and what you're doing. Either of you can answer this, but what you're doing individually to contribute to that team.
Well, as a team, we've been, throughout all these injuries, we've been trying to like figure out like who we are and who we need to step up when someone's off the court or someone's not available or in foul trouble. And a lot of guys have stepped up through that time to kind of give us a push that we need. So whether someone's off the court, we don't like back down, or we're not falling dramatically in our skill. And also just for me, I've been trying to lead my team kind of as like just being with them and being like something they could like look to, whether they need to see something they can look to know like they won't have to like not be confident in their skills, or because it doesn't matter, you just have to work hard for it.
That's awesome. A little bit different. So Connor, as a sophomore, somebody who's now again finding an elevated role, are you kind of along for the ride, or do you find yourself doing similar things to try to kind of pull the team together?
I feel like I'm trying to pull the team together a little bit. I'm definitely open-minded to criticism from my teammates, especially John and Favor, telling me what to do on certain plays and what I should do. Not one of the biggest voices on our team, but yeah, I'm definitely open for criticism from coaches and teammates.
So while you're not one of the biggest voices, you have one of the largest wingspans. Yeah. You've got freakishly long arms, which is really coming big. Favor, I don't know if you heard this when the coaches were in here. I thought last year in the playoff loss that I saw you play a game that I hadn't seen before that. Yeah. Talk about that for a second. Were you able, again, it's a tough memory going in and having a really lopsided score, but how did you grow from that experience?
I don't know. It kind of taught me that I shouldn't be like afraid to play anyone or play like in a certain area or a different team. Because when we played in Tech Boston, like we knew like it was kind of heated, especially like with the two teams going at it and like talking over like social media at the time. So we knew they were really going to come at us.
Shout out to John Hawat.
Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
But we knew they were really going to come at us, and considering they were like one of the best teams in the state already, we knew we were really going to have a hard time. So I just knew like no one was expecting me to be the best on the court. So I just knew I had to know that I could be the best on the court and know that I could like do the best that I can.
Did that carry into that confidence of that particular game carry into this season?
Yeah, I think it did, because it kind of gave me the experience I need to not be afraid when I'm on the court, and just like, even if I make a mistake, just keep on pushing through it.
Yeah, I think it's a great lesson again for underclassmen. You know, if you put a ceiling on your abilities in your head, that is your real ceiling. If you take those ceilings away, then you know anything can happen. So.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. So you guys have had some great successes. This is the home stretch. A few more regular season games than the Riley Classic, and then the real season starts, right? So good luck. Hope to see you both back here again. Play strong and get some wins.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Around the Hoop, the Westwood Basketball Show. Shout out to both Coach Clifford and St. Martin for joining us in studio, as well as Connor Danieli and Favor Wariboko. Want to thank the Westwood Media staff, Maggie McGinnis, who's doing the board tonight, Connor Lynch, who typically is here, as well as Melinda Garfield, the executive director. If you haven't been down to 15 Purwall Street to check out the studio, please try to get down here. It is a gem that many people in Westwood don't know. Until next time, I'm Mike Gay. We'll see you at Bader Gymnasium supporting our teams.